now on News 12.
We are fighting evil and darkness with goodness and light.
The Sound Shore community standing in solidarity with Israel tonight. We'll share some of the personal stories between those here and overseas.
Plus, the loss of a friend. Hear from a Hudson Valley teen who is mourning after his friend was killed on the front lines of the war.
And
this court becomes a lake.
What can the town of Greenburgh do to stop flooding? Some Elmsford homeowners demand answers.
News 12 starts now.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. We begin tonight with our coverage of the Israel-Hamas war, with the latest at this very hour.
At least 1,200 Israelis and 22 U.S. citizens are dead tonight, with over 3,000 more injured and as many as 150 Israeli hostages in Gaza.
And since Israel began retaliating for the weekend attacks, more than 1,000 people have been killed in Gaza, and more than 5,000 are injured, according to the Palestinian Health Ministry.
And tonight, President Biden issues a stark warning following Hamas's attack.
We've moved the U.S. carrier fleet to the Eastern Mediterranean, and we're sending more fighter jets there in that region, and made it clear to the Iranians, be careful.
And today, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu joined with a top political rival to form an emergency government and create a wartime cabinet.
And here at home, we have been covering rallies all over the Hudson Valley and the impact on our local communities. Tonight, another local town comes together in support of Israel.
Yeah, it's been a difficult 5 days for Jews locally and abroad. News 12's Jonathan Gordon joins us from Harbor Island Park, where a rally and vigil took place tonight.
And Jonathan, what can you share with us? Unity, obviously, at the forefront of all of this.
Yeah, it was much needed unity here in Mamaroneck. And, you know, if you know Westchester, there's a big Jewish population right along the Sound Shore. And that means what's going on abroad is hitting particularly close, very personal here at home. Another night brings out hundreds of more people to stand in solidarity with those in Israel.
What's going on in Israel is terrible. It is unbelievable. You can't even believe. It's unimaginable that this would ever happen.
People shared personal stories of having loved ones and friends overseas trapped and fighting. Others wanted to take a stand against hate.
Bear witness to our pain, grieve with us, say that you support us and that you're sending your love and that you want peace. And that will go a very long way. Tonight's
event was led between the town and villages of Mamaroneck and Larchmont. Organizers wanted to show solidarity with Israel's fight and what its people are going through.
We always have to turn grief into action.
And as people here in the Hudson Valley search for ways to help, community leaders said it's pretty simple.
When a person over here, man, woman, or child, does a mitzvah, a good deed here, it strengthens the forces of good all over the world.
And many people that we spoke with tonight said that this event brought them a brief moment of peace, and they hope that that energy is continued in the days and weeks ahead. In Mamaroneck, Jonathan Gordon, News 12.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. Meantime, the war in Israel may be several thousand miles away, but it is directly impacting so many here in the Hudson Valley, including 16-year-old Ben Siegel from Scarsdale, who is mourning his former Boy Scout counselor and neighbor from when he lived in Israel. Yanai Kaminka was a 20-year-old soldier in the search and rescue unit. He was one of the first 26 IDF soldiers killed on Saturday.
Someone that was fighting right next to him was shot in the head. He physically dragged her away while terrorists were shooting at him. Him and 3 other soldiers next to him were killed when a Hamas terrorist shot an RPG directly at them.
Horrific. He also tells us that it feels like there's a hole in his heart. And just like every other Israeli right now, he is filled with grief and with shock. So far, about 1,200 Israelis have been killed, including at least 170 soldiers.
Many teachers here in the Hudson Valley are having critical conversations in their classrooms about what's going on in Israel. Rabbi Harry Pell is the associate head of the LaFell School in Greenburgh. He says many students at the private Jewish day school have ties to Israel and are concerned about seeing social media posts about the war. So the rabbi says the school is having open and honest conversations and discussions and trying to answer any questions.
One is for the purpose of education, to understand what happened, so that they're not relying on rumors or videos that they've seen on TikTok or on Facebook, that they're understanding the fullness of what happened, but also being able to put it in perspective both now and historically.
And while the rabbi thinks staying up to date online is important, he also wants his students to maintain a regular schedule and avoid what he called doom scrolling. And Governor Hochul has ordered all flags on state buildings to be flown at half staff effective today in honor of those killed in the Israeli attacks.
And a reminder to stick with us here on 12, on air, online, and our free News 12 app as we continue to follow the latest developments overseas in Israel on this Hamas war. And a big drug trafficking organization has been dismantled in Ulster County. This is one of your hyperlocal headlines we're tracking tonight. Federal and county officials say 9 people have been arrested and they face different charges right now in connection to distributing fentanyl and cocaine. We're told 4 kilos of fentanyl were seized, which is enough for 200,000 deadly doses. 5 firearms were also seized. And in Orange County, man, this guy, he is headed to prison in a fatal road rage crash back in 2021. The Orange County District Attorney's Office says that 26-year-old Anthony Jones was sentenced to 5 to 15 years in prison on a manslaughter conviction. He was also sentenced to 6 years for an assault conviction. Walden killed 3 and seriously injured 4 others in that terrible crash.
Well, 2 years since Ida, and some Elmsford homes are still flooding. It is hard to believe. And tonight, owners showed up at a Greenburgh Town Board meeting looking for answers from the town. News 12's Veronica Jean Seltzer spoke with them. And VJ, what's the backstory here, and how frustrated are these people?
Yeah, after Ida, the town applied for a FEMA grant to elevate homes, but it hasn't been approved yet, and the rain hasn't stopped.
So here we are.
Babbitt Court
Completely flooded.
underwater again.
This car had to get pulled out of the water.
The latest heavy rains in late September remind residents of losing everything in Ida.
I was grateful that I didn't rebuild and go back home because I would have suffered a loss again.
Jeanette Rodriguez now rents and still pays taxes and a mortgage on a vacant property. So does her neighbor.
We're frustrated.
Anandi Soto.
We can get the house fixed, but what's the real problem that we're having in the Sawmill River?
That's what neighbors asked the Greenburgh Town Board Wednesday night.
It took some people in Sandy 5 years to get out. We don't want to wait 5 years for this.
They want to know, while waiting for a FEMA grant, what can be done? Dredging, building a levee?
We're doing everything humanly possible to help them.
Greenburgh Supervisor Paul Feiner says town staff can clear the river but can't control what comes from other municipalities.
We could clean up the obstructions today, and a week from now, there'll be more obstructions.
Residents haven't been satisfied with Feiner's response, but he says Greenburgh is doing much more to help than other flooded communities.
We're basically spending, hundreds of hours helping a few people because we want to help.
As for the FEMA grant, Feiner thinks it will likely be approved, but there's no indication when. Veronica Jean Seltzer, News 12.
Thank you for that. Let's turn to your first forecast right now. Another nice day out in the Hudson Valley, Julian.
Oh, absolutely beautiful across the lower Hudson Valley. It's one of those days where you didn't need a jacket throughout the afternoon and have plenty of sunshine to just deal with it. Well, we're going to be looking at that trend to continue for the next couple of days, but we are looking for some changes heading into this weekend. As of right now, a quiet one in Terrytown and for much of the lower Hudson Valley. It's also pretty cool as well. So if you're going to be out tonight, definitely going to need that light jackets, but we are going to be seeing some changes coming over the next several days. So the lower Hudson Valley and much of the Northeast is in between a bit of a section as of right now, split between two systems, as we're going to be watching for rain over towards the north and to the south. That's going to be impacting the next couple of days for us as we get into the later part of our weekend. We'll be breaking down everything you'll need to know with a full forecast coming up in a few moments. Till then, over to you.
Forward to it. Thank you, Julian. A Hudson Valley woman says she has family members on the front lines in Israel, and we're talking with her exclusively about how the community at home can help. Plus, new efforts to combat the mental health crisis within teens, the newly proposed bill that could limit your child's time online.